if you are a taxpayer in Edo State, you are supposed to file your tax returns at the beginning of every year. If you earn 800,000
and below,
you are tax exempt.
Annually or monthly?
On an annual basis, yes.
Okay.
If you fail to file, there are sanctions. Sometimes 100,000.
Well, first, let me give a background to the formation of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, which was established in 1982 and chartered in 1992 by Act of Parliament number 76, Cap C10, Law of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. Well, it is good to have this background because that act empowers the Institute to be the only organization to regulate the practice of tax in Nigeria. Having said that, there are a lot of roles which the Institute has to play and which the Institute is really playing. First is they have the professional development and the certification. This is where people who are interested in certification, they train them, then give them the certificate to practice taxation in Nigeria. Then secondly, they didn't end there. They have to set some regulation and standards of ethics for members to follow. And this also enhances the economy by way of saying that you are putting quality personnel in the economy to really help in the tax practice in the country. So they also go ahead for tax awareness and compliance, which is one of the reasons why we are here today, because the Institute has also instituted the last Thursday of June every year as a year we now tag the National Tax Awareness Day. So, and that will culminate on the 25th of this month, where we'll be doing rally, debates, and so forth to really enlighten the public. So having said that, the Institute also involved in the engagement of the lawmakers, the stakeholders, in trying to generate certain provisions that will help our tax practice. We also go on and find that they help in enhancing the quality of practice and also help in the generation of revenue within the country. So this is an opportunity for us to also enlighten the public and tell them what obligations they have and the obligation of the government to them as well. So, and this is where we normally have a crossroad. Is it the chicken first or the egg? So this morning, you also have to know that the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria not only have that, we also have research and development, where they have created journals where intellectuals normally come and assemble their knowledge for other people to also have a look at them. And this also enriches the economy with ideas of taxation and other contemporary issues. So having said that, the Institute does not stop there. They also go ahead on having collaboration with the international community, because Nigeria cannot be an island only on its own. It's a global village now. And so there's that interaction with international body and collaboration, where we also look at their own tax system and see what we can also copy there and come and demonstrate them in Nigeria here via the National Assembly by way of enactment of the appropriate laws. So in summary, I find that the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria is doing a lot for the tax system in Nigeria and also for the generation of revenue. So you have the Nigerian Revenue Service and also you have the state internal revenue services. And all these, we have our members there who are also putting quality into this system for the generation of revenue. So we are always around to give out our experiences in what most taxpayers are always afraid of. So they should not be afraid, because in other climes, taxes are the main revenue generation, and that is what other climes use in developing their environment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chairman. And I think that elaborate foundation provides a guide for this discussion this morning. Let me come to Dr. Ekide this morning. I hope I'm right with the name this time. Dr. Ekide this morning. And let's talk about the tax reforms. Okay, and the objectives of these tax reforms. The question will be, what are the key features of the current tax reform being implemented in the country? Barrister said a lot of people fear when it comes to the issue of taxes. Which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? What are the things for us to note when you look at the tax reforms we have in the country?
Okay, thank you very much. Before I say anything, I would like to state here that the white man says, if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. It becomes difficult for them to grasp anything. Now, prior to 2024, before the Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee was constituted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, led by Dr. Taiwo Oyedele, the issue of tax and taxation wasn't something that was discussed on the streets. You hear them in the corridors of the corporate world. But they did a very fantastic job. They brought tax and taxation to Selu Market. They brought it to Uwelu, Warken, Igu. Everybody was interested. And then the social media guys didn't do justice at all.
They didn't help matters.
At all. There were a lot of misinformation, a lot of unfounded information. They put it out there. And we Nigerians, we don't read. We just go to social media and we pick what we want to pick. So the people got the wrong notion about the tax reform, and everybody were agitated. Now, there were issues of, come 1st of January, government is going to take 25% of your tax, your income. They'll just enter your bank account and they remove it, which weren't true. Now, one of the major reasons why this tax reform was, the committee was constituted, was to simplify and harmonize the Nigerian tax system. Prior to now, Nigeria had over 37 different taxes and levies that were collectible by the 3 tiers of government, federal, state, and local government. And it led to duplication of taxes, which we call multiple taxation. People in Lagos, Ogun State, I usually use that as reference because of the border. You work in Lagos, you live in Ogun, you work in Lagos. So you are paying taxes on same income, which was an issue. It reduces the disposable income in the hands of the citizens or the taxpayers. So the government said, no, let us harmonize the system. Let's make it simpler. Let's make taxes and taxation simpler for people to understand, which is one of the reasons why the tax reform, the taxes were enacted. Secondly, there were ambiguities in the previous taxes. Company income tax, value-added tax, CGT, that's the capital gains tax, stamp duties. There were a lot of ambiguities, which means that taxpayers don't just read and understand. They would need to go to the tax office to ask questions. So they had needed to simplify it so that at the glance of the tax law, you understand what your rights and your obligations are. The taxpayers do not know that they have a lot of rights. In fact, it does them better to comply to the tax regulations than to even be non-compliant. So all of these things were the reasons why the tax reform itself was, the taxes were enacted. And most especially, before now, there were no rules and regulations on how the government spends this money from taxes. So now the tax reform has instituted that into the Tax Act, so much so that there's transparency, there's accountability in the tax revenue and tax expenditures as well.
Well, the question would be, for the average Joe, you just mentioned Uselu Market, Oba Market, New Benin Market. So I'm a trader in New Benin Market, and this guy walks up to me and say, where's your tax or where's your levy? Is that part of what this tax reform seeks to amend or make corrections to? Because people will ask you, wheelbarrow pusher will pay, market women will pay, Mr. Courage will ask, have you filed your tax returns? People don't just understand, and a lot of people have a lot of clarity to me. I saw someone on social media that said, I just went to eat in this place and I heard something of 5,000 and they're asking me to pay 10,000. Is that the way it works? How does the tax reform work? And people say, Mr. President, I've added more tax. So we have more tax that we have to pay. Just clarify.
Okay. Taxes are paid by taxable persons. That is the first thing we need to understand. Now, who is a taxable person? Anybody that earns an income, salaries or wages. You trade, you render services that earns you an income. You are a taxable person. Now, that doesn't automatically mean that you have to pay your taxes. I'm going to leave that for my colleague to analyze it. Okay. It doesn't automatically mean that you need to pay, because there are lots of incentives that this tax reform brings with. I mentioned earlier, it's to increase disposable income in the hands of the citizens. So it doesn't mean that because I push wheelbarrow, I must pay taxes. There are thresholds, there are conditions that you need to meet before you begin to pay your taxes. So if you don't fall under those categories of people, then it means that you are exempted from payment of taxes.
Mr. Courage, what are the incentives to paying your tax? Are there things I should say, I don't meet the threshold, why are you disturbing me? If I'm in urban market and one guy jumps out of anywhere and say, hey, where's your wheelbarrow pushing ticket? What do I say to that person? What are the incentives for those who pay tax, number one? And if there are other clarification from what our doctor has said, you can also provide.
All right, thank you very much. Incentives now to the individual and also incentives to companies. Well, first, let me focus on incentive on individuals. Incentive to individuals means that as a taxpayer in Edo State or as a taxpayer in Nigeria, if you earn about 800 and below, you are tax exempt.
Say that again.
Yes. If you earn 800,000
and below,
you are tax exempt.
Annually or monthly?
On an annual basis, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that is what the law has come to put in place, so that low-income earners will be exempt from paying taxes, and then shift the burden from that to the very high-income earners, who are the high-net-worth individuals in our society. How can you be paying taxes then of about maybe 50,000 naira annually? Then somebody who earns more than 50 or 100 million naira is also paying that same equivalent. That is not justiciable. And so the tax law has come to provide that incentive. It also provides incentive for those who are employees. If you earn income and you are also a contributor to the contributory pension scheme, you are also tax exempt. You earn something. Then if you are contributor to the National Housing Fund, then if your rent is about 500,000, those are the reliefs granted in the tax law. So those are the basic things that the tax law has come to provide for the individuals. For Edo State, those you made mention of, pushing wheelbarrows and all of that, they don't pay taxes. What they pay, they pay a levy.
Okay.
They pay levy to operate within the municipal area, which is the council area. They also pay the sanitation levies. Those market women you see in various markets that Dr. Perekide just made mention of. They pay sanitation levy, they pay squatter fees. Some of them who have big shops pay their personal income taxes. So far, so good as we have currently in Edo State. Yes, but she also made mention of what the tax law has come to, guide against taxpayers in Nigeria, having what you call multiple taxation, which the tax law has described as nuisance taxes. You have about, she mentions 30-something, but they are more than that. They're about 60-something.
Wow.
Reduced to about 10. So you can imagine the tax reform reducing all the collectibles from federal, state to local, reducing to just about 10 taxes, collectible across boards in Nigeria. So that is one very, very important thing to taxpayers in Nigeria. So if we want to look at, there are more, benefits to the individuals for those who file their tax returns early enough, because the tax law says at the beginning of every year you need to file your tax returns within the first 90 days. For employees, you have to file your returns. Your employer will do that on your behalf as an employee within the first 30 days. And failure to do this, they are what you call administrative charges. This time you don't go to court. The tax law says if you fail to file, there are sanctions. Sometimes 100,000, and for every month you fail, it's about 10,000 naira. So if you file on time and you file within the time frame, you are exempt from those sanctions and those administrative charges. So that's a plus and that's a benefit for doing the right thing. So then we also have for companies. Companies are also those who have a turnover of 100 million naira, which the law has provided. If your company makes 100 million naira, you are tax exempt. Yes. Then you also have...
Sorry, Mr. Corey, can you say that again? If your company makes a tax of what?
100 million. 100 million naira.
Annually?
Yeah, because we are looking at small businesses, micro businesses, and all of that. There are some incentives that are also granted to that company. It's exempted from paying the company income tax. The company itself is different. The individual is different. For instance, you are the CEO of a company. These are two different entities in the face of the law. You as an individual, you need to pay your personal income tax, while the company pays its own company income tax. The company income tax is paid to the Federal Inland Revenue Service, which is now the Nigerian Revenue Service, while the individual taxes and the employees who work there, and the CEO's taxes and the board of directors, they all go to the State Internal Revenue Service where that company, is situated.
Okay.
Yes. So the tax law says that you are exempt from from paying taxes if your company has a turnover of 100 million naira. Then there is also what you call, exemption from payment of VAT. When you attain a certain threshold, a company is also exempt for paying value added tax. Yes. These are big companies that have turnovers of 50 million naira and above, Then you have another exemption which has to do with elimination of multiple taxes, as I said earlier. Yes. And then you have institutional protection from, via the tax ombuds. Now, what the tax law has provided is that companies who have grievances as to taxes that are being, assessment that are being given to them, now you have what you call the tax ombud that, mediates between the tax authority and the taxpayer.
Okay.
Yes. So when you have issues, you don't agree with whatever taxes that is being assessed, given to you to pay, you have the right to walk to the tax ombud. It's not the law. It's not the court. It's not also the tax appeal tribunal, but it's just there to mediate what you call, most times in our local courts, we call it a settlement out of court.
Okay.
And so there is now an institutionalized body known as a tax ombud, where matters can go to, and you settle there before you finally, you need to exhaust all avenues, all options before you begin to get into legal issues.
Okay.
But that's all. These incentives does not actually, shields the taxpayer from filing their returns. You need to file your returns, whether you are exempt, whether you're supposed to pay taxes or not, whether you earn 800 and below. The law says file your tax returns. If you fail to file your tax returns, there are sanctions as well.
Okay. We'll take the sanctions at some point. Mr. Courage, a lot of callers have called in the time past and say we run schools in Edo State. I'm particularly about Edo State now. We run schools in Edo State, and then we're paying a tax of 33,000 naira before, and all of a sudden we have 800,000. being sent to us as what we need to pay. I don't know where the ambiguity is. I don't know where the discrepancies are. Maybe you provide clarification as far as that is concerned. But let me look at the administration of taxes. I understand Paul has a question. We'll take that.
Anyways, quick one for those exactly in the corporate world now, and they fall in that taxable bracket. What is the difference between what they will be taxed now and what they were being taxed before?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Okay, so I mean those in the taxable bracket, those that work in the corporate world now, the taxes that they were paying before and the taxes that they will be paying now, is there a huge difference? Is it going to increase or is it going to be way below?
It's not going to increase. Take for instance, you earn about 100,000 naira.
Yeah.
And you multiply that in a year, you have about 1.2
million. Yeah.
And so on a monthly basis, you pay about maybe 10 or 14,000 naira. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So right now, you are earning about maybe 1.2 annually, less 800. And so
that's the threshold.
Yes, that's the threshold.
Okay.
So when you take that away, you take, all the reliefs, the National Housing Fund, if you are a contributor, the National Pension scheme, you take that away, you take insurance away, and all of that. That's your personal life insurance if you are a contributor as well. It further reduces your taxes. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So it means that you now have more money in your pocket than before.
Okay.
So let me go to Olaji Olawo this morning and talk about the administration of taxes by revenue authorities and the importance of partnering. Importance of partnering with CITN, that's the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria. This is very important. How would you assess the current administration of taxes by revenue authorities in Nigeria and areas required for improvement?
Thank you very much. When God created the heaven and earth, He sent Adams. Then Adams followed by Eve, who happened to be his wife. And from that period, there has been the payment of taxes. The two most widely read books, the Holy Quran and the Bible, we heard the story of Cain and Abel. But the Quran, they call it Abel and Kabela. They made a profit to God. That when so thing happened, their produce, they are going to offer it to God. Okay. One didn't do it well, and then the other one felt jealous. That is where the beginning of modern murders started. One killed each other. Then, from there, before the colonial masters, they were what we call taxes. And those people were through the obas, traditional rulers. In Yoruba land, that's what we call Isakole. Isakole means that at the end of the year, royalties from produce. Then, when civilization began, the government itself enacted laws. Then we have bodies, organizations that collect taxes on behalf of the government. Those are the people we call relevant tax authority. As it is in Nigeria, because Nigeria is a federated state, we practice federalism, and that means there's a central government, central authority. We have the middle level authority and the local. At the central level, we have what we call Federal Revenue Service, formerly Federal Revenue, now Nigerian Revenue Service, collecting on behalf of the government, and which means when you are talking of taxation, we are talking of legal personality, that is non-human beings. So we have the one that is limited liability companies. That's purely the work of Nigerian Revenue Service. But other states, the middle level is the state. We call it state internal revenue services. They are supposed to be 36 by 37 because Abuja is recognized as a state. Then the local level, that is local government. They are with local revenue authorities, local revenue committee. So what is their work? Their work is very simple. What they do is that we call it RECA. What I mean by RECA is that RECCA. The first thing is that RECA, R means registration. The issue of TIN number, that's what we identify you as a taxpayer, this particular code you need to have. It's like your phone, when your ATM card, you must have your PIN, yes? And that's what they keep a taxpayers database with that. They are the one doing that. The EAD service education, taxpayer education and sensitization, like what we are doing here is taxpayer education we are doing. Because you cannot ask me to bring my money without telling me what you are using to. You tell them, yes, when you pay tax, there'll be a better life for you. Good roads, social amenities like hospital, everything will be provided for you, yes? Then from there, we have a compliance. So if you haven't paid the tax, how do you know that, like what you have said earlier, you said somebody from 80,000 naira to so thousand, because there was no compliance. There's some basic thing that you need to enjoy, we didn't take advantage of, which I said, like NHIS or the pension fund contribution, all this thing, you have to say it. Then they want to know that there's a compliance, and if there's no compliance, that was the investigation. They have the right to go back to the last 5 years to examine your books, you must submit it to them. Then from there, we have the collection taxes due and enforcement payments. I know that I don't know whether, I don't pray that you people should have explained that. If you are not paying your taxes or what you are estimating is far below, they have the right to seal up your organization. They pay something with you, white something like this, they say seal with green something. Yeah, you can do that. Then after that, there's another thing we call that is assessments. The assessment is they will tell you this, this is what you're supposed to pay in a year. They will send it to you. But if you are the one that not filing your returns, like what you said, that if it's an individual, by 31st of January every year, you must have done that. If it's a limited liability companies, it's 90 days. Or not before 31st of March, you must do that. If you don't do it, when they bring the assessment, that's what we call BOJ. Because if you are paying 80,000 naira, additional skyrocketed to the 800,000 naira, it's BOJ they are giving to you, which you have the right to make an objection, or right within 30 days. If you don't that becomes finance. That means you say you have accepted that. Okay. So the next thing we have to talk under the tax administration. When we do this tax administration, you have some people, like what our guys have said, the chairman, he has said it all. Our institute was established in 1982. From there, it was backed up by the act of by the decree 1976 of 1992. But now, it's now became a loss of federation of Nigeria 2024, okay. And we are involved in capacity building. We train their staff for them, all the relevant authorities. Okay. Then professionalism and ethics. There's certain standard of ethics you need to have, requirements you need to have before you can say you are a member of that institute. Okay.
So, because of our time, we have very limited time for this conversation this morning. So I will allow one or two calls into the program this morning. The most important people when it comes to our conversation on air are the people who are listening, because at the end of the day, the education we are providing is for the people. So we'll go to the phone lines right now.
All right, 0705 512 9881 or 0705 5727 881, 0705 512 9881 or 0705 5727 881, 0902 672 2592, 0902 672 2592. We're talking about taxation this morning. We'll have experts live to answer your questions, and please stick to the timing. 1 minute for each caller. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning to you.
Good morning. Yes, the voice of honorable man.
Yes,
so
welcome.
I just want to ask Mr. Chairman a question. The chairman that just said. So before then, the question that Mr. Isa asking, he didn't answer it. Why did they increase the classes of schools in the state, private schools? So my question is that because he has not answered that question. Okay. So my question is, Mr. Chairman said that he traveled, that they do travel to abroad, to advanced countries to see how they are using tax, how they are paying taxes there, and they will advise the government to do it. Sir, I want to also ask you, it's a good idea, but you people should also go there abroad. How the people they use the tax to help the people. They are masses, they are citizens.
Okay, it's not
Thank you very much. Let's get more calls. Thank you. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Ultimate the Great.
Yes, Ultimate the Great online.
Yeah, welcome. 1 minute, please.
Yes, tax is really positive with everybody. Even our not just pay tax. So I cannot away from that. But our issue is our government. We are taxing people. Government cannot help you to establish a business. If you talk about establish a business, they use tax here and there to frustrate their business. That is the question. I think about the tax reform now. So reduce the burden of the low-income owners and put the body much on all the big establishment. But at the end of the day, we the masses are the ones paying tax money. Because I cannot tell me that the schools are paying tax of let's say 2 million naira last year. Increase to 4 million. We the parents that want to continue that money. Or this manufacturing company that produce something, increase their tax. Like wow, it went better for their product. We see that. Okay. So like government is not going to pity for their pay for their citizens.
All right.
Paying tax here and there.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Hello.
Okay.
Okay. A quick one.
Okay.
09026722590. More calls. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Paul.
Morning to you, Mr. Ajala. Quickly, 1 minute.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, Mr. Ajala. The chairman in the studio. How do you guys encourage taxpayer that way of if someone is paying tax? How do you make the person see the benefits or encourage the person that other person can see the benefits of someone who is paying tax? So that the person can come out voluntarily to pay tax.
Okay.
How do you encourage taxpayer?
Okay.
So that or individual who is not paying tax, we now see the man who is paying tax, the way I encourage his business. So that the other man who has not been paying, so I can see the benefits of the man paying tax.
Okay, thank you very much, John. Let's come back to the studio and have some of the reply. I don't know who is going first. Mr. Courage, they said you increase school school taxes. I say you because you work with Edo State Revenue Service.
Thank you for asking me to go now because
I know Chama was itching to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just concerned about those schools.
All right. So that's increment of tax within the private schools space in Edo State. It's not actually an increase. It's what you call the process of tax administration that is just being complied with. Now the law says that if you are a taxpayer in Edo State, you are supposed to file your tax returns at the beginning of every year. Where you fail to do that, the tax authority now has the liberty to give you an assessment which they believe is the right assessment for you to pay. The law also protects you as a taxpayer to object to that assessment within 30 days of receipt of that assessment in writing to the tax authority. And the tax authority will invite you for you to provide every proof to show that, yes, you are not actually supposed to get that assessment. The tax law also makes provision for the filing of tax returns with some necessary documents. And one of those documents is that you must fill your tax form A for the activities, the income, the economic activities from all sources of income, not just from the school, from all sources of income in the year preceding the current year. It also asks that you provide what you call the bank statement, your detailed accounts. And failure to do all of this, it means that you are not coming forth with the right documents. And where sometimes you have about, your document is showing or your account is showing some hundreds of millions of naira, and you are telling us that your tax is just about 50,000 naira. I mean, that is not realistic.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up at all. So we, as a tax authority, we have the opportunity and the privilege and the law and backing us to dig deep. As Alajola will say, sometimes 5 years, 6 years into time, if your taxes which you have been paying are not, are not the right taxes you are supposed to pay, we can go back and reassess you.
Okay.
And so when we reassess you, we add up all the penalties and the interest that has accrued over time and ask you to go and pay.
Okay.
And so it amounts to whatever increase that the person said he has gotten.
Okay.
You get it? But let me let you know that we have engaged the taxpayers, yes, within the school space, that is proprietors of private schools in Edo State, not once, not twice, not thrice, up to about 5-6 times within 2021, 2022, 2023.
We have barely 1 minute more.
Okay, now, what we have done so far is that we have given them what you call tax reliefs. We have given them tax amnesty. We are giving them opportunity to even do registration when the law did not even allow them to. Because they need a tax clearance certificate to do their application with the necessary educational authorities, which is the Ministry of Education, to get their school registered for exam purposes and all of that. And so we have given them all these reliefs to take advantage of them. Only few have. We're still waiting for others to come and take advantage. But meanwhile, if you don't take advantage of, if you don't do what the law says and, object to your taxes and conform to your every document, well, the assessment stands.
Okay. So, Chairman, you have just 1 minute. Just make a clarification. This is a conversation for us to have another day. Awareness on taxation is something to actually amplify. So, okay, you want Alaji to go?
You say one?
Yes, I want you to go. So please go ahead, please. Just 1 minute. Just provide some level of answers to some of the questions we've had this morning.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that confronts the taxpayer always is ignorance. So if the taxpayer can come out of that ignorance, then he will be free.
How do they get that information then?
Okay, you get tax practitioners. So when you are worried about any tax you are being inflicted on, then you proceed to see a tax professional who will advise you on what to do.
And that's where CITN comes into play.
Yes.
Okay. The time for the program is virtually
fast spent already.
But it's good we had this conversation.
But somebody asked, how do you encourage? Compliant taxpayers?
20 seconds.
Yes, I think the various tax offices have put in place various ways of encouraging them by annually some organized prize giving day for tax compliant taxpayers.
Wow. And
I think Edo Internal Revenue Service has that program, and we want them to also amplify it so that will be also an addition for them to encourage taxpayers to come forward as quickly as possible.
All right. Thank you very much.
And that's our show for this morning. Many thanks to you all for joining us. It has been a great show with you all. And I hope as well, we're talking about taxes, we're paying our taxes. Paul Ochonogo is my name. Hopefully, we'll have this conversation some of the time and enlighten the general public on tax and taxation in general. Many thanks to Israel Adebe, and thank you to you all who joined us this morning. The rest of the breakfast show continues shortly.